Welcome to the Undisputed podcast. I'm your host, Jenny Taft. This podcast is the full show from today's episode of Undisputed from start to finish. They've got a busy slate, so skip Shannon, let's get to it.
Welcome to Undisputed. We are live from LA. I'm Jenny Taft here with Skip Bayless and Shannon Sharpe. Good morning. Shannon, are you smiling over there?
Did we have a couple of cases last night?
We had no cases on last night, but my question is, who needs LeBron?
Don't do that, Skip. Don't do that.
I think they just made a statement. We don't need the guy. We can let him have his sore ankle or whatever it is, quote unquote.
Okay,
right?
So we don't need it now.
Yeah, we don't need him. Come on. You're back in business.
Don't need him.
Okay.
We're back. Someone has a lot to say last night. We're going to get to it. We have a lot of NBA. We need to address Russell Westbrook. And then, of course, more Cowboys draft reaction. But first, let's talk about that game last night. The Lakers were without LeBron last night, but were still able to end their three-game skid against the Nuggets in a 93-89 win. And after making a game-sealing block, Anthony Davis could be seen telling teammates, quote, "We're back," on the broadcast. Shannon, are the Lakers back?
I wouldn't go quite that far, Skip, but it was a much-needed team win. They needed that. They were coming off two horrible losses. You lost to the 11th seed Toronto Raptors, who's not even in the play-in yet, Skip. They lost to the 12th seed Kings, who's not even close to being in the play-in. So two teams that have 27 wins each, and you lose bad to these teams at home. And so they really needed this. This is an upper echelon team in the Western Conference. Yoke is the front runner for the MVP. Michael Porter Jr. is playing as well as any young player in the NBA currently. And to hold that team, who had gone 9-1 in the absence of Jamal Murray, averaging 119 points a game, to hold that team to 89 points, Skip, they got back to what they do, but guys made shots. The most guy I was impressed with Anthony Davis. Skip, he was aggressive last night. He wasn't waiting to see, where's the double team going to come? What should I do? He got the ball. He did something with it immediately. And when the double team came, he passed out of it. And when they left him one-on-one, he punished the guy. Again, they made the game a lot closer than what it really needed to be, Skip, because remember I told you about that long scoring drought? Well, late in the ball game, they go 5 minutes, missed their last seven shots, turned the ball over until AD got the runner to go down the lane. And when they needed it, they hung their hat on the defensive side. Got great contributions. Wesley Matthews come in, 3 big threes in the fourth. Marc Gasol had his best game to date as a Laker. Hit the threes, made it tough on Yoke. He's a big, because, you know, every time you bump, Skip, you keep talking about Luka complain. Tell me somebody that complains more than Yoke. Maybe that's a European thing or something like that.
I don't know, Luka, he just does.
Skip,
Luka complains harder. Jokic sort of does it subtly.
Like, please give me the call. Yeah. Please give me the call. But, Skip, this was they needed this one, Skip. They had, lost 6 or 7? And to be losing at home, now look, theoretically, you're at home, even though you're on this road game, you got the Clippers. But you got Clippers, you got Portland, you got the Suns. You needed this, and I told you we already got our case, so I feel very comfortable that we're going to get 2 of these streets.
Yeah.
Might get sweepstakes, all 3 of them. But, you know, that's...
Okay, remember, you bet me 5-2. That's what you said.
Yes.
So we got 7 games left, and you said they're going to go 5-2.
What?
And it ain't easy, those last 7.
We'd have it no other way.
Yep.
We have it no other way, and you would probably think about it. You won this game, Skip, without Schroeder. You won this game without LeBron. Sometimes I think it's easier for guys to play when the superstars aren't there because, Skip, guess what? I'm going to get extra shots, the minutes. It's hard, because guys, you know, like Marc Gasol said it best last night, guys, let's stop talking about individual stuff. It's a team. We play, just come in and do your job. But, Skip, they needed it. I'm not going to say they're back. They're a long way from being back. But this was a much-needed team win. And the guys played extremely well. Frank Vogel needs to be extremely proud of the way the guys played, even though he goofed it off. Skip, why would he do that substitution?
Which one?
The guys that were playing really well, he'd take them out and put the other guys back in. Let Horton Tucker play. Let the guys play. They got you the lead and expanded it. Why, man, this substitution patterns be killing me.
You want him fired?
No,
I thought he was Vogue's. Right?
He Frank Vogel today.
Now he's Frank Vogel.
He ain't Vogel today.
Well, oh, ye of little faith, you should have bet me last night, but you did not have the guts. You did not have the belief in your team to beat Jokic and company at home without LeBron James.
And Schroeder.
And without Schroeder.
Right.
Kyrie Schroeder, as I call it, right?
There you go.
Okay. So it was such a special win that at the end, I was thinking, should I set aside time today for the parade this afternoon? Because you're going to be the parade master.
Nah.
And did you see what happened? I don't know. Maybe they do this every night at Staples.
What happened?
All of a sudden, I look up and the silver
With one, the streamers are coming down at Staples Center. And the Lakers and their
streamers are falling from the ceiling. What is that about? Because you upset Denver without LeBron or Kyrie Schroeder on some early night in May?
Well, they were up there for a while, so we just see if it still worked.
Really? And I was like, seriously? And then AD is put on his chest. We're back. Really? Well, you're back because he blocked a shot by Campazzo, who I told you yesterday had become a catalyst over this 9-1 streak. Little man from Argentina. He's 30 years of age, but he's a rookie in the NBA, and he is all of 5 feet 10 inches tall. So could we see that block that saved the game? This is 6'10 versus 5'10. That's going to make you back? We're back? You're back off that block? How much can you read into that?
No, they played.
He is a foot taller than that man, and he blocked a shot, and I'm supposed to gloat for him and say, way to go, AD?
We blocked the shot from 12 feet away. Look where AD was. Look where he was standing when Yoke passed the ball to Campazzo.
Campazzo is listed at 5'10". I don't even think he's 5'10". I think he's 5'8". Seriously.
He might be.
And he plays his little behind off. He is just... He's the fly in the ointment, man. Yeah. He is everywhere.
Yeah.
Disrupting, stealing. I think he had 5 steals last night. Way to go.
Yeah.
And they did hang in, and they did have a chance late in the game. And if we could see what happened to Campazzo, speaking of, with 2:06 left in that game, do you remember the call he got?
I do with a foul.
Could we see this? How does this happen? Is this not refs want Lakers to win? He got called for offensive foul on this.
You can't do that.
You can't do what?
That's a crackback.
What did he do?
You saw that right there.
He's just finishing his pass.
There you go, AD.
They canceled.
Sell it.
They nullified Michael Porter Jr.'s 3 that would have cut it to 1. I think you're going to lose the game if you don't get this call. Seriously.
Skip, you can't.
Because they were on an incredible roll.
That's illegal crackback. That's the Hines Ward. That's the Hines Ward rule in football.
But he's not cracking back. He's in front of AD, and AD does the all-time flop. That's 5'9" versus 6'10". Seriously? And you knocked him down?
Blindside block.
Wow. So it's all about Campazzo, right?
Yep.
And then if we could see what happened to Talen Horton-Tucker, your man, THT on TNT.
Yeah, you saw it.
So he takes it upon himself, and I have high regard for this. He says, I got this. I got this. I got it. What? What kind of a shot was that? And he gets it back and is able to up and under it, and that won the game for them. What kind of a wild shot was that? Even he was embarrassed by it.
Yeah, he was trying to draw contact. And as the clock is running down, Skip, he's just trying to get it up on the rim. Get contact, maybe just get it up. And Marc Gasol did a great job.
Is that not the wildest, worst idea of a shot to ice the game?
What if he'd have made it, though?
Okay, what if he had made it? But he did go to his credit. He stayed after.
He hustled, Skip.
And Gasol made a very sweet, nice, subtle play because he reached over Jokic and tapped the ball away from him.
As he was holding him.
Right? And he was holding him. Well, but that's how he plays, and I'm good with that. So THT saves the game, and then obviously AD saves it by blocking the 5'9" guy. But here's what happened to me last night. You got 2 huge breaks.
What?
After your man Kyle Kuzma, who's becoming the spokesman for this team. He's sort of the voice of reason on this team. He had said after your horrible loss the night before at home to, who was that, Sacramento. He said that you needed to play Marc Gasol. And guess what happened? It wasn't that Vogues had the guts to play Marc Gasol. It was that your guy, Kareem Abdul-Drummond, got in foul trouble.
He did.
And he got his 4th foul late in the second quarter with 2:22 left. And in came Marc Gasol, who's been did not play in 8 of his last 14 games. He has not played a minute. So he is on ice, in mothballs on the bench because of the big penguin. He has been replaced.
But you make it seem like he hadn't been playing. They hadn't been cutting checks. He's still getting checks, so when we call your name, be ready.
Okay, but he was ready, and he got replaced because they went and bought out, speaking of checks, they bought out Andre Drummond. And here he came, and you've been over there just beating your side of the table. Drum, beating the drum, beating the drum, beating the drum. Guess what Drum did last night? He played almost 22 minutes, he had 0 rebounds. You like that? God, 0 rebounds. He scored a grand total of 4 points, so he had 4 and 0, and he was a -11.
Skip, you know, look, Drum is not a guy, Skip. Some guys can play with foul trouble, and they knows how to navigate that and still be able to play well. He's not one of those guys. He getting foul trouble early, so now you take him out of his rhythm of being able to rebound the basketball, being able to crash, being able to get you some points. So it took him out of his game, and thankfully, you know, Marc Gasol being the professional that he is, he understands, you know, hey, look, I watched this team from afar last year. There were games that Dwight Howard, JaVale McGee didn't play. There were games that they did play and Markieff Morris didn't play. But when my number is called, I just need to be ready because those guys are waiting on me. Okay, Kuzma said, you know what, Mark needs to get some run. But if we put Mark in the game and Mark ain't ready to play, Vogue said that's why Mark hadn't been playing. But give the guys credit that were on the bench because Horton Tucker, Wesley Matthews, when was the last time we saw him play?
All right, I'll get to that in just a moment. So Marc Gasol comes in, and what does he do in the third quarter? He hits 2 big threes.
Yeah, he did.
And what did he do early in the fourth quarter? He hit another big 3. So he makes 3 out of 4 3-point shots for your team, which ranks 23rd in 3-point shooting.
Yes.
23rd? So meanwhile, back at the ranch, the Denver Nuggets are going 6 of 24 from 3. You know why? Because they said, it's no LeBron. It's not even any Schroeder out there. So we got this, and they took their foot off the gas. They did not take you seriously, and they had their worst shooting night in probably 10, 12 games. Right. 25% from 3. Meanwhile, suddenly you go 43% from 3, in large part because of Gasol. And who bothers Jokic more than anybody on your team? It's Gasol. Yeah. It used to be Dwight.
Because you know why, Skip? I think the thing is that he understands how the European play. He's a European big man.
He can mirror all of his slyness, all of his sneakiness, all of his shrewdness. Gasol knows it all. Right. He grew up with it.
He wanted to say last night, well, he do a lot of flopping because every time you touch his body, Jokic's doing it. And he makes it tough on the official, Skip. If he really dislodging him, is he really doing that? So but Marc Gasol at 7 foot tall did a great job, Skip, on both ends of the court. Give him credit for that.
Hey, on Jokic, he did an extraordinary job.
But they made it tough on Jokic all night, though, 12 of 28.
But he can match. Gasol matched him in the fourth quarter with just width.
Right.
Because Gasol can't jump. He can't move.
No.
So he's glacial, but glacial works against Jokic because Jokic can't jump, and Jokic isn't that quick. He's just sly. So you need to just get in his way and stay in his way, and he can't.
You know why Gasol bothers him? Because Jokic used athleticism against you. If you a big guy, you athletic,
that is true.
He gonna pump you and lay it up under you. Well, Gasol ain't got no athleticism, so he ain't going nowhere. He's like, well, I'm still right here.
Okay, so I'm giving Vogues no credit for that because it was a desperation move because the big Penguin got his 4th foul.
And because here's the other thing also. You saw last year, we know Trez can't bother Jokic. Nope. We saw that in games 5, 6, and 7.
With the Clippers.
With the Clippers.
Yes.
So we know that's not a favorable matchup.
In fact, that's probably the single biggest reason that Montrez is no longer a Clipper were those 3 games against that guy.
Right, because what he gives you offensively, when you playing a guy like Jokic, Skip, you got to basically match him. You got to be somewhere around 25, 30 points to match him because that's what Jokic's going to give you. He's going to give you 25 to 30. He's going to give you somewhere around 8, 9 rebounds, 8, 9 assists. So you need an offensive guy that if you can't shut him, hold him down to below that, you need to match those numbers. Well, that's what Trez is going to give you 12, 14 points. That's not enough. So Gasol came in, spaced the floor, hit some threes. Now Gasol's going to have to inch out there a little closer. Now the lane's going to be open a little more. But Skip, they got into the bonus with like 4.5, 5 minutes left, and the Lakers are still shooting jumpers. AD, get your butt on the block.
Good point. But how did they suddenly surge to a 14-point lead, the Lakers, early in the fourth quarter?
Yeah.
Wesley Matthews, along with Gasol. Why did Wesley Matthews get into the game? Because there's no Schroeder. He's now in the protocol. I don't know if he has COVID or whatever, but they're saying 10 to 14 days. So I'm assuming he has COVID.
He probably has it.
Probably has it. I don't know that for a fact, but probably so. So all of a sudden, Wesley Matthews has not played in a game in 5 of the last 6 games.
Right.
He is DNP.
Yes.
I forgot he was on the Lakers. And all of a sudden, he and Gasol are on the floor, and neither has played much lately.
Right.
And what happened? They go on an 11-0 run thanks to those two guys
Right.
both assisting each other and making threes and making Wesley had one up and under for another basket.
I don't know how he made that, Skip.
Yeah, it was a good shot.
Yeah, I just know I was like, he ain't finna make that one.
So I can't give Vogues any credit because he was forced to go
He
to
had no
him
choice, huh?
because he had no Schroeder. So all of a sudden, 2 unknowns, two has-beens, 2 forgotten men come in and lead them on a charge to where they're up 14 points with 8:23 left. And then you know the rest of the story. Here came Denver because there went Vogues. He had to put his starters back in.
You didn't have to.
Well, and you're all over him for it.
Yes.
So
Why would you do it, Skip? I think we've seen coaches in the past. We saw it in Cleveland one year. They made that comeback without Kyrie and Kevin Love on the floor. Remember, they was down by like 20-something points. And LeBron in the second unit, and Ty Lue's like, nah, they balling. We're going to leave them in. Why would you do that? I mean, you see Drummond is struggling. He's struggling offensively. He's struggling defensively to contain Yoke. Why would you put him back in? Why would you put Kuzma back in? Don't do that. Let him ride. Horton Tucker is the only guy, Skip. He's the guy that can take the ball and get his shot. He going to the lane. He get into the lane. Now you're gonna have to take like 2 or 3 trips because he gonna get there. Oh, y'all turn me away. I'm gonna come back out. I'm gonna come again. And that's what I love about him. He's gonna make some mistakes. He's a young player. He's 21 years of age. But you understand why that they wouldn't include him in that trade for Kyle Lowry. Schroeder and KCP would have been in Toronto had they says, okay, we'll take Schroeder and KCP. Y'all keep Tucker. But they were insistent on Tucker, and the Lakers weren't budging off that.
So are you better this way?
Yeah, I like what you call. I like Tuck. Tuck gonna be good. Yeah,
Tuck?
Yeah,
Now Tuck?
Man, go ahead. Don't worry about all this. All I'm saying is that 5-2, 5 seed.
I call him Big Play Tay.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. You call it what it. But look, I love what I saw from AD. You got to admit, this was the most aggressive we've seen AD since he's been back.
By the way, AD in the fourth quarter last night was 1 of 5 with 1 rebound. You like that?
No, I don't like that. Guess what? The 5 shot. Besides the floater, everything was jump shots.
Okay.
AD, get your butt on the block. They're in foul trouble. They have you in the bonus. Get your butt on the block.
It's hard to get your butt on the block when there's a bigger butt already taking up the block belonging to the big penguin. I told you he's not a good fit for your team.
In a situation like that, Skip, Gasol had it going in the fourth.
He did.
So now leave
But
Drum.
Gasol can play off AD just fine.
Because Gasol can go out past the
He
three.
will,
and they
because
gotta
he
respect
likes
it.
to shoot threes.
Right.
Drum shoots no threes.
No,
I'm sure he's taken one some point.
Yeah, at the end of the shot clock.
Right.
But look, as Jenny's question, are they back? They're not back, but it was a huge win. They got something they can hang their hat on. When you don't make shots, if you guard the other team, you force them to take more difficult shots, and now you can stay somewhat close. Because just think if they weren't playing, if they hadn't got this big lead, Skip. So now you're in a tight ball game. It's a tight ball game. You go 5 minutes without scoring, you're gonna lose by double digits, and that's what we've seen over the last 2 games.
Okay.
They go these long stretches against Toronto, and now they basically get blown out. These long stretches against Sacramento, and they end up losing a close ball game.
Okay. So they hung on in the end, thanks in part to the referees saying,
Man,
"We
they
love
don't
you."
referee. Stop doing that.
They said we can't have the Lakers missing the playoffs.
Why you see? You're doing so well.
Yeah.
You giving us credit.
Yeah.
You was like, okay, Gasol came in, and you had Maxwell. Guy coming in doing well, Wesley Matthews.
Yep.
You say THT was doing his thing, and then you had to flip it. Take all that away and blame the officials. We don't do that here, Skip. We don't blame officials.
I would suggest to you that was a season-saving win, upset victory over the team that had been the best in the West over the last 3 weeks, right?
Did Campazzo blindside block AD?
No,
Yes.
he was just running. He's just finishing out his pass.
Well, next time, look where you were going.
Really?
Yeah.
He's a little mighty might.
Caught him off
AD
guard.
could accidentally step on him.
Yeah. You know when somebody, you walk in and you're not paying attention to somebody bumps into you, you're like, that is, excuse you.
Huh? No, look down. Excuse you?
Yeah, exactly.
Excuse you down there? Did you get in my way? I'm sorry, I stepped on you.
Dude, that's what the dude told me. I was walking to CVS. He bumped into me.
Yeah.
Talk about watch where I'm walking.
Okay. So the point is, in the bigger picture, I think last night will speed LeBron's recovery. Yes, it will. Yes, it will. He'll say, ooh, I think I got to get back to be a part of this.
Think about this, Skip. Now, they don't play again until Thursday. I can see.
But guess who they play on Thursday?
No, what? Skip, we don't look at the schedule. We play the schedule. Who's in front of them? We don't worry about that.
Time to look at it now.
Why?
It's coming up.
You're going to have to deal with us one way or another.
Hey.
We don't worry about that.
Now you can look down because the team in the basement is coming upstairs to play you on, quote-unquote, your floor.
They have 3 games in 4 days. The likelihood of LeBron playing probably before Saturday, Sunday is not very good.
Oh, you think he'll duck the...
We're not ducking.
Yep.
What we know about LeBron James is about 65, 70%. And in the second half, basically, the ankle rendered him useless. LeBron, look, I don't care if LeBron James is not close to 100%, they're not going anywhere. Play in, play off, number 1, number 2 seed, it does not matter. You know that. Everybody in the basketball community knows that. Without LeBron being close to 100%, the Lakers are doing zilch.
Last night was a survival game for your Lakers. Thursday night is a statement game for the Clippers, so you better be ready for this.
First of all,
would you like to put an extra case on it?
No, Skip. Okay. First of all, the euphoria of winning a championship last year is still pretty high in our building. You guys ain't won jack.
I noticed. Did you see the streamers coming down?
Y'all don't got streamers.
I think they won another
Y'all don't have streamers.
Yep.
What are y'all celebrating?
We don't need streamers.
Yes, you do.
We don't need streamers. We're about to own that building.
We might get y'all on Thursday.
Yeah. Well, do you want a case? I'll give you a case.
Let me see how I go.
Hey, you got Gasol?
And let me see how I go.
You got Wesley Matthews?
I got to see if I can get some red clay and vinegar sit up from Georgia and put that thing on LeBron's leg.
Really?
Right? Yeah, put that on the ankle.
I don't think he needs anything. I think he's just fine.
Don't do that, Skip.
Yeah.
You see the man.
It was a moral victory. You know, they're back, they're going there. But yes, the Clippers will be challenging coming up later this week. I have no doubt we will get to it. We will continue talking about it until they play each other. No mercy. Wizards head coach Scott Brooks called Russell Westbrook the second best point guard in NBA history, right behind Magic Johnson after their 154-141 win last night. Westbrook scored 14 points, but also racked up 21 rebounds and 24 assists in the process. So, Shannon, is Westbrook the second best point guard ever here?
No. And what he's done, I've never seen anybody play as hard as Russell Westbrook. Night in and night out. Possession in and possession out.
Agreed.
Nobody's even close.
Nobody.
So I don't care. You go back to where this guy played in the 60s and he played.
Nope.
No one has played harder every possession, every single night than Russell Westbrook.
Amen.
But Skip, he's not the second. So how the hell did he just jump Steph Curry? Okay, we know what Magic is. Magic is the oracle. Magic is the mythical point guard that, you know, the 5 championships, the 3 finals MVPs, the 3 regular season MVPs. He's by himself.
And he's 6'9".
He's 6'9".
Okay.
But so we just like forget Steph Curry, huh? I know Scotty Brooks is in the East, and he's doing everything he possibly can along with Russ and Bradley Beal to get this team into the play-in.
He is.
But is he not seeing what Steph Curry's doing on the other side? On the other side of the world, does he not see what Steph is doing? Has he not seen what Steph has done? Steph has gone to 5 NBA Finals. He's won 3. He's a 2-time league MVP. By my estimation, he's the second greatest point guard ever. That's why I have Steph Curry. Now, is Russ? I will put Russ in my top 5. But Isaiah took a team to the NBA Finals in the East when the big Celtics were big and bad.
He did.
The 6. And what about? So we just like AI? Just AI? Look, I know AI. That team that AI took to the finals had no business being in the finals, Skip. They had no business taking a game off the Lakers. That was the only game the Lakers lost in the playoffs. Skip, Russ is what he's doing, the 177 now? It seems like now he doesn't have to do anything else. He's going to average a triple-double for the 4th time in, I think, 5 years. Great. That's a great accomplishment, Skip. But he's not better than Steph. Steph transcended the game. Steph changed the game. Steph has more accolades, individual and team-wise. So is Russell top 5 point guard? I will give you that. But to say he's the second best in front of Steph Curry, absolutely not. No way, no how.
Okay. I hear everything you just said. I agree with just about everything you just said. But I will give Russell Westbrook this. On any given night, his ceiling in numbers that he can generate raw, playing his tail off numbers as a point guard are completely off the charts. You can make a case they're beyond anything Magic could have produced.
Oh, yeah, no question.
Okay? Because I'm talking raw numbers.
Yeah.
I'm talking about playing with such a rage that you were capable. Remember, this year, he has 3 games of 40-plus scoring in 40-plus points. He had a 42, and he put up 41 head-to-head with KD in Brooklyn when KD had 37. So he said, I'm going to outscore you 41 and 37. Is he capable of doing that? Yes, he is.
Yes.
Is anybody else on the top point guard list quite capable of doing that? Well, we can go here and there with some of them, but, man, like John Stockton is the greatest assister ever.
Yeah, but he ain't scored like that.
Okay, he can't score like that. No. I'm not even sure Magic can have a night here and there, but he didn't have that kind of explosion.
But not consistently like that, Skip,
right?
No.
Okay, and then last night, I just got to say these numbers out loud just to get to have them sink into my psyche. But wait a second. You had 21 rebounds and 24 assists? It's impossibly great. They're raw, hard, gut check kind of numbers that only he could produce. So, again, if we're just talking numbers, I'll put him up at the, again, Magic is mad. He is just hallowed to me. He's just he's in a universe unto himself.
Correct.
Because I got him the second best player of all time. So I can't go above Magic. But if we just do raw productivity, I'll put him second. I get that. That's what Scott Brooks is saying. Because Scott's coached him forever because he coached him in Oklahoma City. So he sees this. He sees it up close and personal every night. I'm sure he's like you. He sits back and says, I never see anything like this. Okay, now to the bottom line. If I want to win one game for my life, do I want Russ as my point? No, no. I'll put him in. He might not make my top 20. I'm talking about if this is it. Give me Rondo to win the game. You know, like, will he figure it out for me? Sure he will. Or give me Stockton, or certainly give me Magic, or I can keep going. Give me Steve Nash. Give me, for that matter, Tony Parker. If we go modern day, I can go CP3. I can go Steph, as you point out. If I go old school, give me Oscar, give me Kuzi. I can just keep Isaiah. I give you all of the above. If you just want to win the game by putting your position in the best putting your team in the best position to win, it's anybody but Russ. Because I'm going to remind everybody, on April the 5th, this team featuring Russ and Bradley Beal, April 5th, they were 17 and 32. That's 15 games under 500. Well, of late, guess what? They've won 11 of 13, and they have soared all the way up to the 10th seed. So they're in the play-in as we speak, and they're only 4 games back right now of Boston for the 7. So all of a sudden, thanks to Russ and Bradley Beal, they are on fire. But what is Russ doing now? He's not shooting the basketball. So what did he do last night? He shot 8 times. Do you realize it tied for the fewest shots he's taken in his career? There's one game in 2016 when he still had KD in Oklahoma City. They went up and won at Milwaukee. They won by 8, and he took only 8 shots in that game. So how many times does Russ take 8 shots? Well, he had it going in the assist category, and this is what I've always said about Russell Westbrook. He has a rage to star more than a rage to win. So he's all about the numbers. He's keeping tabs in his head, or somebody on the bench is telling him, oh, you've got 15 assists, you got 18 assists, you got 20 assists. And he's like, I got assist, because he wants the totals. Because he says, I'm the best playmaker in basketball. That's what he said after the game last night. Okay, well, he realized that his team had it going, so he doesn't need to shoot. How many three-point shots did he take last night? How about a big 0? You know why? Because he's a terrible three-point. He's 31% from 3 right now. He's only 64% from the free throw line. So when I do top point guard, well, isn't that part and parcel of what you get? Do you have to shoot a few threes?
Yeah, you would like to think your point guard can make 35% of his threes, Skip. I don't know if we've ever seen a point guard, like you said, the sheer volume that could rebound the ball like he could, can assist the ball like he could, and can score like he can. Now, Steph Curry can score like Russ. Dame Lillard can score like Russ. Magic could assist like Russ.
He could.
But I don't know if he could get rebounds and score like Russ. So Russ, as the combination scoring, rebounding, and assisting, Russ is it. But when you talk a complete body, he's not better than Steph Curry. Skip, this is what people don't understand about Steph. Steph has played in 5 NBA finals. Do you realize Steph Curry is averaging 27 points a game in those finals? He's averaging 6 assists and 6 rebounds.
You know what? It's hard for me to consider Steph a point guard. I'm sorry, but he's just the greatest shooter ever, and that's what he does best.
Right.
Like 6 assists, to me, that seems low.
But that's the new age point guard.
I got it.
Like Dame.
Okay, I got it.
Dame can get hot as anybody. He can't assist the ball. He can't rebound the ball like Russ.
Okay.
But
okay, Russ is leading the league in assists again.
Yes.
You realize he's on course now. If he closes this deal, he will have led this league in assists 3 of the last 4 years.
Yes. He might be averaging like 12 assists tonight, which is absurd.
Okay, well, he's 11.
But yeah, Skip, the thing is, if you look at this, Indiana, basically they said, look, you don't play defense, we're not going to play defense, we're going to see who can score the most. Skip, both teams, Washington shot 61%, 40% from the 3.
Yep.
Indiana shot 50% from the floor, 52% from the 3.
Okay.
So when you get a game 154 to 141, who the hell playing defense?
Okay.
So basically, all that Russ assists was layups and dunks.
Okay. Indiana gave up by far the most points they've given up all year. The second worst was 140.
Right.
This is 154.
Correct.
So they're ranked 11th in defensive efficiency, so they're not a terrible defensive team. Don't underestimate what Russ did to them, and don't underestimate what Bradley Beal did to them.
Skip, think about it. Everybody played. The only guy, Cassius Winston, he only played 12 seconds. But if you played more than a minute, everybody had double figures. One guy didn't. Raul Neto, he had 9 points. I've never seen Skip, and I'm like, how the hell you get to 154? So I've never seen a stat. I've never seen anything like this, Skip. I've never seen this many guys getting double figures play this much.
Okay, remember, this was a big game for both teams because they're fighting for that 10, right?
Correct.
10-9,
yes.
right?
I mean, Sabonis is an unbelievable player, Skip. He had 30-20.
He did. Okay. So, but again, Indiana doesn't routinely give up 154 points.
No.
So you got to give him some credit. And look at this. Russ is averaging only 19 shots per game, which for him is lower in his career, while Bradley Beal is leading the league at 23 attempts per game.
Right.
So he is deferring to Bradley Beal. Right.
So well, he's going to defer because Bradley's trying to win that scoring title.
Okay.
So he's going to get some assists.
And he's just a tick behind Steph right now, and Steph had a big night again last night.
Had another big night.
Yep.
But Skip, look, I understand when you're close to the action, you're like, wow, this is special. And I'm not going to poo-poo what Russ is doing because the triple-double for him, Skip, it's not like he's getting like 10 rebounds. Skip, he's getting 19. He's getting 20 rebounds. It's not like he's just getting 10 assists. Skip, he's 18, 22 assists. He's getting big volume numbers.
Okay.
So I'm going to give him credit for that. But he's not a better player.
Mm-hmm.
He's not the second best point guard. And I'm going to list Steph because that's what they list him as in the program. So I'm going to go by the program. Skip, he's not better than Steph. I'm sorry, he's not.
Okay, I got it. So why did Kevin Durant choose to leave Oklahoma City and Russell Westbrook and join forces with a team that they had down 3-1, right, in the Western Conference Finals?
Right.
Here's what happened when they were down, up 3-1 over Golden State. Here are the shot attempts in the last 3 games. They lost by 9, 7, and 8 in those 3 games. Oklahoma City did. Russell, the first loss, took 28 shots to Kevin's 31. Then Russell took 27 to Kevin's 31. And then the last game, Russell took 21 shots and KD only 19. So it was real close for the 3 games total. But in the game 7, the big one, Russ took more shots than KD. And that's when I believe KD said, hey, I'm out of here because I can't win a championship if he's my primary decision maker every time down the court.
Russ should have beat him to the punch. Russ said, I'll let you take the most shots in games 5 and 6, and you took 31. And look where they got us.
Okay.
So I noticed you ain't never mentioned that before. Oh, you talk about, Steph Curry in the NBA Finals. Look at what he did. He did this, this, and this. And lo and behold, before they got to the Finals, your guy that you said the best on the planet gagged it up. A 3-1 lead.
Interesting.
To little old baby Steph.
And guess what? He said, well, I don't care what the NBA world says to me. I don't care what Shannon Sharpe thinks. I'm just going to Golden State. And he went, and what has he got to show for it? 2 rings and 2 Finals MVPs.
What's the old saying, Skip? If you can't beat them, join them.
Well, wait a second. He joined them, and he won for them.
Yeah, Skip. it worked out for both parties. Nobody could feel like they're slighted.
Yep.
He needed them as much as they needed him. It worked out well for everybody. But Russ, I love the energy and the passion in which he plays with. But I can't go Scotty Brooks. I can't say he's the second best point guard. I got Steph in front of him.
Yep.
Now, if you want to debate, say Oscar, I didn't really see Oscar play. I know Oscar's numbers. He won a championship with Kareem in Milwaukee. I watched Allen Iverson his whole career. So, hey, if you want to, we want to debate Isaiah, Skip, for Isaiah, because Isaiah was really the first point guard, Skip, to lead a team to the NBA Finals other than Magic, but Magic was 6'9". Isaiah's 6 foot, 6'1". So he was the first. He went to 4 straight finals against the big three Celtics.
Okay, I got all that. But you agreed with me on just raw productivity. There's never been anything like it. No point guard can do what he does.
Yeah. Skip, what's happening now because of the game, it's like we're going to have a lot of quarterbacks that's going to have 60 and 70,000 passing yards.
Yep.
And the old guard is going to be 30,000. And you're like, man, he was better. Like, bruh, stop. Stop playing. Because Matthew Stafford's going to be, Skip, when it's all said and done, Matthew Stafford might have 80,000 passing yards.
Yeah.
And maybe not win anything. So at the end of the day, hey, I love what Russ has been able to do. And when a lot of people thought his career was dead, he's resurrected it. He's playing like the old Russ. Scotty Brooks allows him to be Russell Westbrook.
He does.
Everybody else tried to say, well, we need you to play like this in order to fit the system. He compromised a lot last year, Skip, with James Harden.
He did.
Now you see Russ as being Russ, the Russ that we saw the last 3 or 4 years in OKC.
Yep.
This is Russ with the Wizards, but I can't go there. I can't go Scotty Brooks.
I got it. But this is Russell's 13th season, and I keep waiting for him to show some wear and tear because he plays so hard.
He plays hard.
He is not slowing down 1 inch.
No.
Yeah,
and you never question his work ethic at all.
No.
In terms of Russ. We got to leave it for now and talk a little bit about Jerry Jones. He's got a lot to say. He is excited about the defensive haul they got in the draft, jokingly calling the draft class a, quote, basketball team due to the average height being just a hair under 6'4". Deshaun Wright, the second of 3 corners taken by the Cowboys, is confident in his length, saying this: I kind of look at myself like a more athletic, agile Richard Sherman. How about that for confidence? Shannon, will being taller and longer, will it work for the Cowboys? Skip, you're not up yet.
Yeah,
Shannon, tell me.
Basketball team. I'm thinking maybe like Washington Generals. I know for our younger audience, Skip, they don't know who the Generals are. But you know who the Generals are. They were the team that lost all the games to the Harlem Globetrotters.
Oh.
Skip, what has this got to do with anything? Just because you got guys that are the height and the length of Sherm and Brandon Browner, that doesn't mean you're going to get the productivity. And this dude up there talking, does he understand that Richard Sherman has a Hall of Fame resume? I don't realize.
I think he does. I mean, I think he's probably going to be in the Hall of Fame.
So he's up. So in other words, I know Oregon. He's from Oregon State. He's up there in the Northwest. So he knows who Richard Sherman is.
Yeah.
I don't know if he knows who he is, but I don't know if he knows. He needs to go pull up some tape on Sherm and see and just hope he has half the career as Sherm. He'll have good
You seem
career.
to know all about Sherm. Yep.
Jerry just can't help himself, Skip. Well, I got me some basketball players. You playing football. Can they play football, Skip? I know they tall. I know they length, and we want to length. We going to challenge people. I get all of that. But at the end of the day, you still got to play. All that height, size, speed, strength, Skip, it comes down to can you play football?
Thank you.
I've seen some of the guys that look like bench 500 pounds, squat 600. And couldn't play dead in a horror movie. And I see some guys, you're like, man, put a towel on. That's terrible. And wreck shop.
Tom Brady.
Yes, come on. It's more to playing football than looking like a football player. And I think Jerry thinks because I got guys at 6'3.5", 200, 210 pounds, that's long and angular. Ooh, boy, we got something for y'all this year. Okay, but guess what? You still got to play the game. I don't care what you look like. You're going to have to play. And I guarantee you, when they walk out there, they're like, man, look how tall that team is. Man, I don't know how we're going to get up any shots today.
Hey,
we playing football.
Look at those long arms.
Look, I understand what Dan Quinn wants. Dan Quinn's going to play that single high safety where they, what we call lurk, where they jump the crossing routes and all that. You need guys that's going to be able to challenge. Because, Skip, you want to make it tough. That's why the teams want big body receivers. That's why guys want big body corners. Yep. Okay, I get that. But at the end of the day, can you play football?
Yep.
That's what it comes down to, Skip. Yeah, you want guys, if you watch them on tape, you want the measurables to match. You want 6'3", 205, can run, can jump. Can he play football?
Okay. So to echo what you just said, just for the record, I learned my football from the great Bill Walsh. I thought he was the greatest coach ever. I learned a whole lot of football from the great Tom Landry, and I learned a whole lot more football from one of the greatest defensive coaches ever, Jimmy Johnson, who works for this network. Not one time in all my many years of learning about the game you played did I ever hear length. I never heard it. I never heard height or length. Like, it just didn't matter. They came in all sizes.
Right.
It's about your heart and your gift.
Right.
And your desire.
So they passed on Deion because he wasn't 6'4". You didn't want time because he ain't 6'4".
There had been tall corners. Mike Haynes was a great one, as you remember.
Blunt.
Mel Blunt, long and tall but strong.
Yes.
Played more press.
Yeah, he changed. They made him change the rule. The 5-yard rule came in because of Mel.
They can come in that size. They can come in little sizes.
Right.
There's a little man who played for Washington. Remember that little man?
Darryl Green.
Darryl Green. He's like 5'9", or I don't know what he was.
Niels Williams is another small one.
Right. And they're Hall of Famers. So you can do it a lot of different ways.
Right.
So here's what I think just happened. Jerry Jones hired Mike McCarthy, and he gave him carte blanche. He said, you pick your staff, you pick your coordinator. And you know what Mike did? He reached back into his past for Mike Nolan, who once upon a time had given him a job as an offensive coordinator when Mike was the head coach in San Francisco. So it was a form of nepotism, not exactly related, but football related.
Right.
Where I owe you, I'm going to get you paid, I'm going to pull you out of mothballs, up out of the attic. I'm going to dust you off, and I'm going to give you the defensive coordinator job of the Dallas Cowboys America's team. And Shannon, it was a disaster from the start. Every free agent that Jerry had handpicked rebelled on him, turned on him, to the point that at midseason, Jerry had to say, I got to clean house because I got a mutiny on my hands in the locker room. So every one of those free agents, gone. Because they said, this is not the way you do it in this league, because they'd all had success other places under other coaches. So Jerry said, okay, Mike, I gave you your shot. Now it's my turn. And he goes out and picks a guy who happens to be on the open market. And this guy's name is Dan Quinn. And what had happened to Dan Quinn in Washington? Well, he became the head coach in 2015. And he is a defensive coach because he earned his spurs. He gained his fame coaching the Legion of Boom.
Correct.
Well, wait a second. Did he pick those players and mold those players into what they were? No. Gus Bradley was the original architect of the Legion of Boom.
Correct.
So it was already in motion and in place when Dan Quinn took over.
John Snyder and Pete Carroll picked those players.
Okay, thank you very much. So just quickly to show you the background of one Dan Quinn, he played at Salisbury State in Maryland, fine, I'll give you that. And he was from Morristown, New Jersey, but then he goes to William & Mary as an assistant in VMI and Hofstra for a while. But finally, he gets Mariucci in San Francisco to hire him as the quality control coach. Well, you know what that is. That's the bottom-end guy who just, he does the legwork, right?
Stapling papers together.
He's got papers. He's stapling papers together.
Game plan,
Okay, but it got him in the door of the NFL. And then he goes to the Dolphins and the Jets. He goes briefly to Seattle with Jim Mora. And then he goes to Florida in college football with Will Muschamp, who's a close friend of his. He's the DC. And then he goes back to Seattle. And you know the rest of that Legion of Boom story for 2013 and 14. And then here he comes to Atlanta. Here are his defensive ranks in points allowed while he's with the Atlanta Falcons. He's overseeing the he's effectively...
He's the DC.
He's the DC.
Yeah.
Atlanta ranks, this is starting 2015, 14th, 27th, then 8th, 25th, 23rd, and in the last year, 2020, 19th. So that's an average of ranking 19th in the NFL in points allowed. And somehow you're a guru of defense?
Right.
Really? Even in the year they got to the Super Bowl, they ranked 27th on defense. It was Matt Ryan MVP bombs away to Julio, right?
And so my question is, Skip, if you want that type of defensive player, you want a long, angular guy, why didn't you get those in Atlanta? And if you did, why wasn't any burn?
Had none like that in Atlanta that I know of.
Exactly.
I don't know one.
I don't know one either.
Okay, but from what I know of Dan Quinn, he is very charismatic and can be very overpowering one-on-one. he has a little bit of sort of faith healer, fitness guru type in him. You know, he's a good public speaker.
Yeah.
He's very impressive.
Right.
And once he sat with Jerry, he won Jerry completely over. And he brought his little magic kid in, and he convinced Jerry, we need to get longer and taller. We need to get longer and taller. And Jerry just swallowed it whole because Jerry can be very impressionable.
Yes.
And flavor of the month, Jerry can just, as we always say, fall in love.
That's how Mike McCarthy got the job.
He did.
Because Jerry was so impressed. He fell in love.
Right? Overnight. They had a long, you know, beer and nacho session at Jerry's palatial estate in Highland Park.
Yes.
And that was the rest of that. And they signed him at sunup, right? After a long night.
Because Jerry Jr. said, Dad, what are you waiting for?
Okay. So here comes Dan Quinn, and Jerry has swallowed this whole, and he lets Dan Quinn run free agency and run the draft in effect. Because in free agency, their two key signees were off Dan Quinn's defense from last year in Atlanta. He got fired because they fell to 0-5. And what did they do? Game number 2 at Jerry World, they're up 29-10 at halftime, and they blow it in the second half and lose 40-39.
Yeah, you're up 39. You was up 39-20.
Whew.
And you lost.
And that's why you pretty quickly got fired.
Correct.
And then you're going to be the savior of Dallas's defense? Well, it can't be any worse than it was last year because I think it was the worst in franchise history. As we keep talking about, they gave up 308 yards rushing to Cleveland at home. Yeah. And then they had 3 more plus 200 yards.
Baltimore, Washington, Arizona
on a Monday night.
But Skip, you look, this notion that if that was the case, every DB that could run 4.2 would be Deion Sanders or Darrell Green. We know that's not the case. At the end of the day, you have to play. Take speed up. Everson Walls barely cracked 4.7, but was an all-pro, led the league in interceptions.
Knew him well. He was undrafted out of Grambling.
So, Skip, this notion that, speed, they tall, they this and that, at the end of the day, tell me this. I don't want to know how tall he is. I don't want to know how much he weighs or how fast he can run. Can he play football?
Okay.
Is he a good football player?
All right. So, Jerry let Dan Quinn bring with him from that. Remember, the Atlanta pass defense was the 5th worst in the history of this league.
Yes.
And he brings with him Keanu Neal and DeMonte Kazee, the 2 safeties. What? And I'm supposed to be happy with that? And then he lets him, in every round, take the guy who had the longest arms. Seriously, every round, every pick, they're the tallest. They average almost 6'4", and they all have the longest arms at their position.
Right.
And I'm saying, this is comedy.
Right.
No, seriously. If it weren't so sad, I would be laughing at it because it's just hilarious. You could feel free to laugh at it because I've never heard anything like this before.
But to say that, Skip, I understand that you want a certain type. I mean, you're looking for a 3 technique. You want a guy that's explosive. I mean, Aaron Donald is basically prototypical for a 3 technique. Normally, the guys are a little bigger than Aaron. You wanted a guy like a Warren Sapp. You wanted somebody like a Johnny Randall because Mean Joe Green made that the under tackle. So you look for a specific. But Skip, because Aaron Donald is 6 foot, 6'1", 275, 280, that doesn't mean I'm not going to take it because he's not Warren Sapp or Mean Joe Green, because he doesn't fit prototypical. It seems like, well, I want to get prototypical. I want 6'4", 210, and that's what I'm looking for. So we're going to bypass the guy that's 6'1", that got better tape.
Okay, I get the concept of it. That as a defensive end, if you can reach farther, you can hang on and
well,
tackle.
you can engage the tackle without having to get too close to it.
Or you can reach to tackle the running back. And I get it certainly at corner and safety because if you're playing zone, and I'm sure they're going to play a whole lot of zone, the longer your arms, the tighter the window could get.
Or I get my hands on you because I want to get my hands on you if I'm playing press coverage.
Can you? Can this Wright kid from Oregon State, is he really Richard? I like the audacity of it. I like the swagger of it. And they're all coming in like, we got this. Well, you cannot be any worse than you were last year.
The thing is, Skip, when you play, if you look at Sherm, the way he played, Sherm understands that I don't have 4-3 sub 4 speed.
Nope.
So what I need to do, I need to be a student of the game.
You did.
And early in Sherm's career, you couldn't beat Sherm deep. You couldn't double move him. You had to be.
Now remember, you had two of the best safeties, maybe the two best safeties in pro football at that point.
And he understood where he was weak. He understood where he was vulnerable, and he never played to his weakness. He only played to his strength. He didn't get caught up into that. Well, you ought to press. I press. You know, when him and Reeves went back and forth. Well, you don't travel. Sherm's like, look, I played my. Hey, coach says you line up over here. You're gonna play this coverage, and you play it well. So he doesn't get caught up in all that other stuff. We're going to see how well they study. Are they students of the game? And because they're 6'4", can they play football? We're going to find out early on, Skip.
No mercy. All right, so get this. After Sunday's loss to the Raptors, LeBron said that whoever came up with the idea of the new playoff system should be fired. Well, NBA fans were quick to point out that in March of 2020, LeBron's tone about the play-in games was much different, supporting the idea at the time. So take a listen for yourself.
So we got Portland, you got Memphis, you got New Orleans that's kind of, Sacramento. And Sacramento ticking around there. So, I mean, if there's 5 or 10 games left, why not the 5? Why not those guys battle it out? How about just make them play each other all 5 games?
Yeah.
All 10 games, or I don't know, find a way where they can have, if you're gonna make the playoffs, why not play against a team that's in front of you or behind you?
Can't get away from anything now on social media. Someone finds it. Shannon, how bad does this make LeBron look?
Doesn't make him look bad at all because it's a totally different situation. Remember now, March, the NBA had shut down. There was a pandemic, so they had played 65 games. So there were 17, 18, 19 games left. So basically they said, okay, we're going to resume the season, but it's going to be in a bubble environment. So now, here, Skip, I'm right there. So we're just going to go down there and play 5 games, 6 games? He said, hold on, wait a minute. If it's that close, why not just let those teams play each other? Therefore, that will decide it. That's a totally different situation. These games, there have been no games missed. Every team's going to play 72 games. You had 72 opportunities. That's totally different than having 82 games and having the season shut down. That's a totally different situation. So they took what he said about, okay, the season's been shut down. These games, there are 2 or 3 teams, 3 or 4 teams that are right there. Why not just let those teams play each other for a chance to go to the playoffs? Skip, this is all about money. You and I are both old enough to remember when the first round of the basketball playoffs was the best 2 out of 3. And the next round was the best 3 out of 5.
It was.
And only conference finals and finals was the best 4 out of 7. But they're like, wait a minute.
Well, heck, I'm old enough to remember when the finals was on tape delay.
It was.
Like at 11:30 at night.
Magic game was on tape delay.
Yeah. Yep.
That great finals he had his rookie season. Yeah. So they're like, hold on, wait a minute. Why would we only do 3 games? We do 7, Skip, we could make a little bit more money. What do we see with the NFL, Skip? What if we add an extra playoff game? That's an extra game. That's extra revenue. What if we add an extra regular season game? Baseball, what did they do, Skip? They got this play in. So this ain't about no fun. This is about adding revenue. I get that. But if you look at what LeBron said, when he said it, versus right now, he's like, hold on. We're going to play 72 games in 145 days, coming off the shortest rest season in the history of professional sports. And now you want guys to play more to have to get an opportunity to go to the playoffs. I got no problem with what he said, because once you get back and you look at it when he said it, because I thought the way they was portraying it, they made it seem like he said it yesterday. No, this was during the pandemic. And he's like, hold on, our season got cut short. There are some teams that's going to be very unfortunate because there was a lot of situations, Skip, they might not going to be playing each other. You see what the NFL did? They started having the divisional games at the end. So you got to play the Cowboys playing the Giants, Cowboys playing Washington, Eagles, things of that nature. Because what was happening, teams were resting. And it didn't mean anything. They said, no, we wanted to mean something week 16, week 17. We wanted to mean something. So I have no problem with LeBron said, once you go back and look at what he said, how he said it, the context in which he's trying to explain it, it makes perfect sense. The season was cut short by a pandemic. Teams that was like, hold on, man, we right there. We gonna miss the playoff. We'd have played all these games. We might have could have caught them. He's like, well, just have them play each other. And that way we determine it. Now, ain't no pandemic. You played 72 games. You make it, you make it. If you don't, go home.
Okay, before I answer Jenny's question, I will tell you that there are 3 different LeBrons that we often talk about on the show. There's LeBron, just the basketball player, pure, simple, end of story.
Right.
I'm often critical of LeBron, just the basketball player, and I think sometimes you're not critical enough, but that's a whole nother issue. But that's that guy.
Right.
Then there's a LeBron who campaigns for racial justice in this country, and I never have anything critical to say about that guy because he is the best ever at that. Then there's a third LeBron hat that he has to wear as the face of the NBA.
Right.
And he almost is like an owner in the NBA. He has that much clout, that much impact. He doesn't often exercise that clout. Sometimes you see him sit back and say, we're doing what?
Right.
But it's a huge hat that he wears with huge responsibility because obviously when he speaks about this league, we listen.
Absolutely.
He's it. He's in year 18. So he's not in year 4 or 5 where he's still trying to figure out how it all works together. He's a full-grown man who is the biggest, brightest mind in this league. To me, it's beyond Adam Silver's mind, his ability to see and feel what works or doesn't work in this league. And I always want to know, what does he think in the end when they were in the bubble to play or not to play, any of those big decisions facing the league? I just want to know what he has to say. When they had that emergency meeting that was at a Friday night where they all convened back at the hotel after the Bucks had said, no, you know, we're not going to play.
Kenosha, wasn't it? Kenosha situation.
Yeah, it was the Kenosha. And everybody they just waited for him to speak because whatever he said, and he wouldn't speak at the meeting, but he went back to his room. Remember, he didn't want to play.
Right.
He wanted to opt out the rest of the bubble, no more. And
they called President Obama, he and CP3.
They called him. They did. And a bunch of players reconvened at his hotel room, and then you know the rest of the story. Here they went. So in this case, to me, it was a sign of rare immaturity on his part. He was so frustrated, not just by his knee, but they just lost to 2 bad teams at home.
Correct.
2 bad teams playing without their stars at Staples, and they lost kind of miserably both games. And obviously he missed the last shot in the first game, and he had airballed a 3. He was just frustrated. It wasn't working, and they looked kind of stuck in mud. The whole team looked stuck in mud, and you said, well, I'm not seeing his burst. He can't push off. So the frustration was at an all-time high post-championship for this team.
Right.
And Laker Nation is to hysteria levels. And so he just couldn't contain himself. And it's whoever came up with that should be fired, right?
Right.
And you can't say that because it worked. I don't care. He did have, I give him credit for the original idea. I get your point. The context was completely different. I got you. You're exactly right. And I'm not going to, I'm giving him a pass for that. So I'm not going to hold his feet to the fire over what he said on road tripping back
2020.
Okay, I got it. But the beauty of it was he's on to something.
Right.
It's great. It worked. It was captivating.
Right.
I liked it. I'm looking forward to it now. That's all we talk about. Who's in the play-in? You know, who's
7 to 10.
Who's 9? Who's 7? Well, wait. They're about to fall into the play-in? It's fun. Is it fair? No, it's not really fair. Baseball's got it too, where it's just like one, you play 162 to play one? Really?
Exactly. And I think that's the thing, Skip. It's like that got interrupted. You should have 82 games, 72 games. That should be enough game to determine who are the best 8 teams. I don't believe you need extra playing games. Now, you want to generate revenue, because that's what it is. If you can't determine, Skip, the NFL plays 16 games, plays 17 games now, to determine the best 7 teams that make the playoffs. They're not having said, well, you know, y'all went 500. So now we're going to have y'all two teams that play 500 to get another extra spot. That's not how you do it. 16 games, 17 now. 16 games was enough. 82 games was enough. 72 is enough to determine who are the best 8 teams. So LeBron has said that last year was a unique set of circumstances. But the NBA found out that they're on a unique set of circumstances. It's kind of like the income tax. They started taxing during war. Like, hold on. You mean to tell me we can put an income tax on you? You got to pay it, and it never went away. What a good idea. So now the NBA started something to try to, recoup some of that revenue in the bubble. and it's never going away. Unfortunately, LeBron, bro, I don't believe this is going to go away.
Okay. Is the NBA not an entertainment business?
Yeah.
Is the play-in entertaining? Does it enhance the product?
Yeah.
Well, yes, it does. Are we going to talk about it on Undisputed? You better believe we are. We're not going to yawn at it. We're not going to ignore it. It's interesting.
But you do believe 72, 82 games is enough to determine the 8 best teams.
I got it, but I like the novel new concept. It doesn't bore me. It doesn't offend me. I'm good with it. And all the league needs is for somebody to come out of that 10 seed and start rising up and knocking teams off.
Well, you know what happened? NCAA started this bull jive when they had the play-in game. Because, Skip, remember, it was just 64. Oh, we got 64. I think they expanded the field in, 84, 85? They expanded to 64. Ooh, that's great. And then all of a sudden, the last 10 years, they got a play-in game. So we got one team, and then you get to stop it.
Yeah, but some of those teams I don't even know, and I don't care enough about it. But I do care about this.
UCLA was in the play-in, and they made it all.
That's what I'm saying. The NBA would need to validate the new premise. They would need one team to go far.
Skip, in one game, you got to win 4 games to advance in a situation to go all the way to go to the NBA Finals, which I don't see that happening.
Obviously, after they lost to Sacramento, all of a sudden it became painfully aware to LeBron that, wait a second, we're in the mix for the play-in, and it's also possible we won't even make the playoffs if we continue at this rate. So he dismisses it, and yet, as a quasi-owner, he has to understand that the owners voted on this. Adam Silver voted on this unanimously. And I know Luka started he was the first one to break through and say, this is a bunch of baloney.
And then Mark Cuban backed him up, although he had voted for it.
And not only had he voted for it, he had actually campaigned publicly for it. But he said, I got to have the back of my star, and he had his back.
But Skip, as an owner, look, I'm sure there are things that Michael Jordan thought as a player that he thinks totally different now as an owner.
Yep, I would agree.
And so I think LeBron, we all know LeBron wants to be in ownership. So the way he's thinking now, I can assure you he's not going to think that way as a player. It's just like an employee. Once you think one way as an employee, but once you own your own business, you think your brother think an awful lot different as opposed to working for someone, as opposed to working for himself. So that's a big difference. But I agree with LeBron. I think this is a very different circumstance than what we had going on last year, March of 2020. Hopefully we don't have that anytime soon, ever. How about soon, ever again in my life. But for me, I don't have a problem with LeBron says. I get it. 72 games. Basically, they're playing a game every other day. They're going to play 72 games in 145 days.
Nobody has any sympathy.
No mercy. Odell Beckham Jr. is still recovering from his torn ACL, but so far the process looks good, according to a video posted by Des Bryant. Des posted a video of OBJ running sprints to Twitter saying that the Browns receiver is, quote, looking real scary. This will be his best year yet. Shannon, if he's healthy, is OBJ still elite in your eyes?
Yeah, I've been in contact with
great.
Odell over the last couple of months.
Okay.
And the one thing you say, just make sure you put out there, I'm going to be healthy. He said, the last 4 years, I haven't been healthy. I broke my ankle, had a sports hernia, tore my ACL last year. Missed the last 4 games, if I'm not mistaken, of his last year in New York, Skip, with a quad injury. So if he's healthy, I know Skip, he's still only 28 years of age. That's what people fail to realize. He got up to that blockbuster start. His first 4 years was as good as any receiver in the NFL as far as catches, yards, and touchdowns. And then he was besieged by injuries. But if he's healthy, there's no question in my mind because he can run the route tree. He's tremendous yards after catch, and we all know he can catch the football as good as anybody ever has in the NFL. The question is, can he get back to a level of health? That's the thing, Skip. I mean, you look at an ACL, sports hernia, quad injury, broke his ankle. That's in succession, 17, 18, 19, 20. So as many years as he's been in the league healthy, he's had just that many years unhealthy. That's the only thing for now. He might have to go elsewhere because for whatever reason, health had a lot to do with it. He and Baker has not clicked like the Browns had hoped when they gave up a first-round draft pick to bring Odell to Cleveland. But there's no question in my mind that if Odell Beckham is healthy, he's still a top-flight receiver. The question is, can he get back to that, and can he and Baker get on the same page so he can show just what a complete receiver that he is?
Even bigger question, can he stay healthy? Because his history would tell you Unfortunately, no.
Yeah. Getting
right?
healthy is one thing. Staying healthy is something entirely different.
What just happened with my guy, Leighton Vander Esch, the Wolf Hunter? Well, what do you always tell me? Well, he just can't stay healthy.
Can't stay healthy.
So they declined his fifth-year option,
Right.
which means he'll play in Dallas next year, but he's playing for another contract.
And plus, you got Michael Parsons, so no one's surprised by that.
Okay? It's all about staying healthy.
Correct.
Especially if you start to have an injury history.
Correct.
Okay, so I appreciate the fact that you talked to Odell. I like Odell personally. I think he has a good heart. There's still a part of him that I hope can grow up and understand what matters in this game, because you did.
Yeah.
Leadership matters. Some sacrifice matters.
A lot of sacrifice matters at that position.
A whole lot of sacrifice, where Odell wanted to be an NBA star, and you just can't be an NBA star in the NFL.
Nah.
It doesn't work at that position.
Takes too many parts to make it successful.
It's dependent upon 1,000 things that happen at the snap of the ball.
Yep.
It's the coverage. It's the play call. It's 1,000 things that go into it. It's little movements. You might get it, you might not get it, and you have to be happy that you're winning if you're not getting enough of the targets.
Right.
So here's all I know about Odell. Against my Dallas Cowboys in New York on a Sunday night, or New Jersey, obviously, on a Sunday night, he made the greatest catch in the history of catches. I'll still say it's the greatest catch ever.
It was unbelievable.
On Brandon Used Car, your favorite cornerback, right? And I immediately tweeted, that's the greatest catch ever.
Yeah.
There's even a flag thrown on the play, okay? And that put rookie Odell Beckham Jr. on the national map.
Yep.
It might have put him on the international map,
Yep.
right? And that seemed to be the peak of his career. If you look back, you say, well, then what happened? Well, he had a lot of little minor incidents, like immaturity incidents, fights on the field, tantrums off the field, on the sideline. And the bottom line is that in games he's played during the regular season, his teams are 36-46. So he hasn't consistently been able to be a part of winning at any stage. He did make it to one playoff game, and we all know what happened before that playoff game. They ended up in Washington, and he invited a couple, 2 or 3 of the other receivers on the Giants to accompany him down to Miami for a day off and on South Beach, or I guess they were in Biscayne Bay on a yacht. Who was it? Was it Trey Songz or something? I forget. But the point was, it was not a good look.
No.
It got posted on social, and that was to get ready for a playoff game on the frozen tundra at Lambeau Field. And right away in that game, it's Eli versus your man, Aaron Rodgers. Big early third down. It's just a big early drop by Odell. And it hit him right in the hands, and he just dropped it. And that's no good. And here's the one in the end zone a little later where that's a touchdown, and he dropped it.
Got to make it.
You just got to make those plays. You can go to South Beach to get ready for a game on the frozen tundra if you play.
Yep.
You know, you got to make the plays, and he didn't make those 2 plays, and it looked bad.
Yep.
And then he blew up after the game and swung his helmet and knocked a hole in the wall of the walkway going to the locker room, the hallway. Okay, great. So that's your one playoff game. You got 11 targets in that game. You caught 4 balls for 28 yards, and your team lost 38-13. And I thought the Giants had a chance in that game.
Yeah, early on.
Yeah.
Early on, Eli was hot.
He was hot.
And Odell dropped a few passes, and I think that's all a part of growing up and learning from your mistakes and how to deal with it. And look, you're going to have doubters, you're going to have naysayers, you're going to have people that don't believe in you. You just have to believe in you and just stay the course. And I think Odell understands that now, is that it is taking some time. Sometimes it takes, it takes some people longer to mature than others. It takes some people longer to figure it out. It's like, okay, it can't be my way.
Okay. So what did we see last year? Week 7 at Cincinnati. Unfortunately, he got hurt. But fortunately for the Browns, they took off right after that. Was it coincidence or not? I think Baker was force-feeding the ball to Odell because he idolizes Odell off the field. He thinks he's a superstar and loves to associate with him and hang with him. And in forcing him the ball, it just messed everything up for the Browns.
Skip, I think the thing is, for me, is that I don't think they're as close off the field as you do. I think the thing is because Odell is one of the few receivers that can overshadow a quarterback. There are very few receivers that's ever been able to do that. He's one of them. and he came in with the cachet. He has the big Twitter followers. He gets the most money, endorsement money from Nike. So he's a very unique individual, and he's one of the few that has a bigger name recognition than the quarterback.
Okay.
So for me, I'm not so sure. Maybe they butt head on that. I don't know what it is, but for whatever reasons, Baker and Odell hasn't been able to connect like Cleveland thought they would, or even I thought they would, because we all thought, well, man, if Odell had a better quarterback, and I guess, you know, Odell's probably thinking, Eli wasn't that bad after all. At least he would give me opportunities.
I would agree.
But
so what happened to Baker after week 7? He took off and the team took off. They go 8-2 over the next 10, and Baker's 19 touchdowns to 2 interceptions. And it appeared that it clarified for him.
Chubb and Kareem Hunt took off.
Well, I give you that. But so did Baker, because they won a playoff game against their arch rival at Pittsburgh, and it was, 48-37. Baker's QBR in that game was 93 on a scale of 0 to 100.
It was 28-0 in the first 2 minutes of the game.
He lit them up. He did not play that well at Kansas City, but nobody played
No, don't do that. Don't do that.
Tom Brady.
My homeboy got injured. They had a chance to take the lead. Baker got the ball back. And what did he do? 3 and out.
Okay.
Now, hey, that's when the rubber needs to meet the road. If you are what you say that you are, if you are what many like Skip Bayless believe you are, you got to win that game. No, my homeboy, you got them really, you're just going down and got a touchdown. You got them 3 and out. They punt the ball back to you. Okay, now you got to come up big. Show me what you got, Baker.
I saw it at Pittsburgh. I saw it all. 93.
Skip.
And he had his moments at Kansas City, but no, he did not come up big in the biggest moment. But it's hard to win there in the cold at Arrowhead.
Oh, I don't know about all that, because I did it. I don't know how hard it is.
Yeah, but it's hard to beat Henny given Sunday because he was hot.
Yeah, look at that.
He made the plays.
Skip, you had the ball. Down 5. You got the ball. Baker Mayfield had the ball. You got to come through.
So you're saying he needed Odell in that moment?
I'm saying Odell, he needed something. No, he needed to do that. He had Jarvis. He got Higgins. He got a lot of receivers.
Yeah.
Okay, come on with it. Austin Hooper, come on with it.
Cleveland is the most loaded team in that division on paper. I think even you agree with that. They had a great draft. They had a great free agency. What's not to love?
Loaded gun is not harmful.
Okay, but remember, they say that Odell's coming back. They say he's going to be a Cleveland Brown.
That's what they say.
Okay.
But that's what he might have to go back there 1 year. I want Odell to go somewhere where they understand what they have in Odell. I'm not so sure Cleveland understands what they have in Odell, because that's still a run-first based offense. That's the same. That's why Stephon Diggs wanted to get up out of Minnesota. He says, I can't show you what I got in a run-first offense. He goes to Buffalo where they're pass-first, and he leads the league in catches and yards. It's hard for me to believe that Stephon Diggs is more talented than Odell Beckham. I know what Odell can do. The question is, can Odell get healthy and stay healthy? Because if he can, he'll show you what he can do this year.
Okay.
If they give him opportunities.
I'm waiting to see.
Fair enough. I couldn't believe that you mentioned he's only 28 years old still. I honestly didn't realize he was still 28. So if he's healthy, there's a lot more to see, and hopefully we get the chance to see it. No mercy. The NFC East has been busy adding offensive pieces this offseason. Let me break it down. The Cowboys got Dak signed to a long-term deal, while Stephen Jones said their offensive line is looking as healthy and good as ever. And then Washington added quarterback Ryan Fitzpatrick to go along with receivers Curtis Samuel and Adam Humphries. The Giants should be expecting Saquon Barkley to make a return. They signed receiver Kenny Galladay and drafted speedster Kadarius Toney out of Florida that we went into yesterday. And the Eagles bolstered their pass-catching group by drafting Heisman winner Devontae Smith. So there is a lot there. Shannon, how do you rank the NFC East offenses right now?
I go Cowboys 1, Giants 2, Washington 3, Eagles 4. The only reason I put the Cowboys at 1 is because I do believe they have the better quarterback. But if I just look at the skill positions, I would take the Giants. I would take Kenny Galladay, Evan Ingram, Kadarius Toney, Sterling Shepard, Kyle Rudolph they signed, and they get Saquon back. So I think their skill.
By the way, John Ross is in there too. I don't know if he can catch, but he can fly.
Oh, he can fly. He can still run. Now he can't do that.
What do you run? 4.22?
4.22.
So fast.
Got the fastest time recorded this combine. So Skip, that's the reason I put Dallas in front, because of Dak. I do believe Dak is better than Daniel Jones and Fitzmagic. I love what Washington team did. signed Curtis Samuel in free agency, paired it with McLaurin. I love Logan Thomas. They got a nice running game, Skip. They drafted the big guy out of North Carolina. The question is...
De'Ami Brown.
De'Ami Brown.
Yeah.
The question is, Skip, can Ryan Fitzpatrick, can he be Fitzmagic his first? Because what normally happens to him is that when you don't expect anything, we saw it and we came off the bench, Skip. Tua was struggling against the Raiders. The guy pulls Fitzpatrick face mask clear around, got his head like Beetlejuice, and he throws a 40-yard ball.
I've never seen anything like it before.
But when you expect him to do things, they expected things from him at the Jets. It didn't happen. They expected things from him in Buffalo. It did not happen. So now there's an expectation. Now, clearly, he's better than Dwayne Haskins. But the expectations are a lot more ramped up than they were for Dwayne Haskins. So for that, because of Dak, I do believe Dak is the best quarterback in that division. I went Cowboys, Giants, Washington, Eagles.
So when I look down the Giants' skill position players and all their additions, it is scary time for me. When I look at Washington skill players, it is scary time for me.
We just got a basketball team at corner, so
we got a basketball team. We might win the G League.
Yeah, okay, yeah, right? Exactly.
But the Giants especially, Daniel Jones is pretty good.
Yes.
He could be very good on occasion. We have seen Fitzmagic be very good on many occasions. And yet, Dak is back. Dak is back in the saddle, and they say he's ahead of schedule on his rehab. It was career-threatening. He got paid. The cloud got lifted off my locker room because it was going to be Jerry versus Dak all year long as he maybe played his way right out of Dallas, and that's over and done with. Can he live up? I sure hope so, because it's a lot to live up to. I thought Dak was struggling to prove to Jerry that he was good enough to merit $42, whatever it was, million. And he wound up getting the most guaranteed money, the biggest signing bonus in the history of this league. It's just hard to live up to that. But he's going to have to. Because I do think my defense is going to be better because it has to be better. Those kids, you can throw all those kids out there, long and tall. You can throw them all out there. They have to be better than the junk that was out there last year.
I'm thinking 8-8-1.
Right? 8-8-1. I'm thinking, how many cases we already have? I'm thinking I'm going to win this division, mostly because of Dak Prescott. I get Blake Jarwin back, and he is a bona fide proven weapon. Dak loves him. And the three receivers are bona fide Dak-connected receivers. And CeeDee Lamb will rise and shine in ways he couldn't last year with Andy Dalton and DiNucci and Garrett Gilbert. And it was a cast of thousands at quarterback. And it was a long, hard rookie year for him. But you watch, his sophomore year will be better than his freshman.
Oh, I forgot about Slayton. They still got Slayton at the Giants.
No, I got it. Yeah.
So
Did you say Sterling Shepard?
Yeah, they got Sterling. Yeah, I mentioned Sterling Shepard. I totally forgot about Slayton. So I like their skill position, and you're right. Everything is going to be incumbent on Dak. Is he fully healthy from that ankle? And can he play up to the contract? Because now, Skip, it's not about, oh, he's a fourth-round draft pick. Nobody cares about him being a fourth-round draft pick. You can use that as a rookie. But once you get that second contract, you throw that out the window. I mean, it's nice when you come up to the draft. You know, Tom Brady was a sixth-round draft pick. You see, guys, it doesn't matter where you get drafted. Shannon Sharpe was this, and Antonio Brown was a sixth-round draft pick. That's all fine and good. But once you get that second contract, they throw the drafting out. Now you're getting paid like as a franchise quarterback. You need to perform the services of a franchise
I got it. So as much fear and respect as I have for both the Giants and Washington's skill positions, CeeDee Lamb will rise and shine and become the best receiver in the NFC East next year. He will be the most productive receiver. Devontae Smith is with the Eagles. He'll be great for Jalen. I got it. It will be all about CeeDee Lamb.
Kadarius Toney.
You think he's it?
KT.
Okay.
For TD.
Yep. Okay. Well, you got it. Well, he's a human highlight reel, according to Urban Meyer.
Yep.
Okay.
Y'all got to deal with twice.
Okay.
And Patrick Graham's defense, Williams.
I got it. And McLaurin and Curtis Samuel, I think they both run 4.3, right?
Well, y'all got basketball players, so you got long arms, so if they get in front of y'all, just pull them down.
I got the best defensive player in the draft, according to the Hall of Famer.
Yeah, you did.
From me. So can that not help?
Well, you need the other guys on the field to play up to the level. There's a lot of guys that's making a lot of money on that side of the ball, Skip, that haven't lived up to expectations. I don't need to call their names, but they know who they are. They watch.
Okay. And I believe my offensive line will stay healthy and happy all year long.
Why are you going to believe that now all of a sudden?
I just believe in it. I just believe it.
Okay, remember the last time Ty Smith played 16 games?
This year coming up. Okay? Zach Martin will be healthy. I'm knocking on wood the whole year.
Lyle Collins going to be healthy.
Lyle Collins, I'm knocking on wood. He'll be healthy the whole year. He's coming off career-threatening hip surgery, right?
Yep.
And I'll be just fine. Dak will be protected. He needs to be protected.
Better.
And I still love my weapons. I do not love my running back, but I think he will be better with Dak back.
Ooh, I don't know, Skip. I mean, you got Chase Young, you got Deron Payne, you got Allen, you got the other kid on the other side.
Yep. Saquon is back with the Giants, so you can argue with me Saquon is better than Zeke at this stage of Zeke's career. You can definitely tell me that Antonio Gibson is better than Zeke because he was last year.
House call. I can see Saquon going for about a 60-yard sprint on y'all.
All right.
Douche y'all out.
That's what happens. Then the other 12 carries,
don't worry about it.
-1.
That's okay. Look, hold on. I thought you said that the criticism that you have about Zeke is he doesn't give you explosive plays. All he gives you is twos and fews. Now my guy, Saquon, give you a big burst, a 70, 80-yarder, 60-yarder. And then you talk about the next carries, he don't get but like 7, 8 yards.
Is he going to be healthy?
Gonna be healthy.
Okay. All right. I got Dak. You don't have Dak. Boils down to that. It's just like Rondo. I got Rondo. You don't have Rondo.
I got the team that's gonna win the division. You don't.
Okay.
Yep.
How many cases we have on
We
that?
already got it. We got 5 cases on it.
Okay.
I'm gonna get it all back. I'm gonna get it all back. You do realize Tom Brady ain't gonna play forever, right? You do realize that, right?
I'm seeing about 5 more years of misery for you.
I mean,
like I told him, you not gonna play forever, bud. Skip Bayless gonna have to pick another team. Then what?
He might just fool you again.
you know what, Shannon? You said that to Tom, and now you motivated him to just keep playing more and more years. You saying that was actually what he needed to hear to prove us all wrong, and now you wrong, Shannon. So it's actually going to be because of you that we continue to see Tom Brady. All right.
No mercy.
Sunday on FS1, the stars of NASCAR go old school with the throwback race from Darlington. Catch some of the most iconic rides as they hit the track for the Goodyear 400. All starts Sunday at 3:30 Eastern on FS1 and the Fox Sports app. Gotta love a good throwback. Well, Steph Curry continues to light it up. He dropped 41 last night in the Warriors' win over the Pelicans. Draymond Green said teams are terrified of how well Steph is playing, and Steve Kerr took it one step further. Kerr said that Curry has the humility, humor, and confidence of Tim Duncan. Kerr also said that Curry reminds him of former teammate Michael Jordan because Curry's brilliance and excellence becomes routine and is expected. So, Shannon, are these comparisons valid here?
They are. The only difference between Steph and Tim Duncan really showed no emotion. Whether he scored 15 points, Skip, or he scored 30 and grabbed 20 rebounds. Steph is going to shimmy on you. Steph is going to shoot that 3, turn and look at the bench. Did he go ahead? Yeah, it went in. Steph is going to do his thing. That's Steph. But I can understand the humility because did Tim Duncan even really ever speak? I mean, he once got thrown out of the game for just laughing. He left the sideline, and the official, Joey Crawford threw him out of the ball game. And Tim looked at like, what?
Me?
Ooh, me?
And Joey Crawford got thrown out of the league for a while.
He got suspended for it. And with Jordan, Skip, once you reach the status of being great, the expectation is you're going to be great every single game. So it's like if Steph goes 2 for 10 from the 3, you're like, man, what happened to Steph? Steph must be hurt. Because you expect every shot is like Michael. Every time Michael Jordan shot the ball, Skip, people expected it to go in. When Steph shoots the ball, you automatically expect it to go in. No matter how far he's shooting it for. Be like, he's taking a shot at half court, like, yeah, that's about to go in. Like, you do realize, like, 9 times out of 10, that shot's not supposed to go in. He just got you convinced that he's made it more times than not, that every time he shoots, it's supposed to go in. And we've gotten spoiled with the things that Steph does, just like we get spoiled with the things that Michael did and KD and LeBron. So, yes, it's a great, because for me, I think the comparison between Tim Duncan and Steph is fair because they're both kind of quiet, but Steph is more emotional on the court than Tim ever was. Tim got the nickname the Big Fundamental. I think Shaq gave him that because he was fundamentally sound. Wasn't nothing spectacular about his game. It's just that he won way more than he lost. And you looked up, you're like, hold on. He had a 30-20 game with 5 blocks? That's Steph, you know Steph is knifing you up because you like it. Because he's like electric. Skip, I've never seen anything like it. He could have 7 points in the first half and then get 27 in the quarter. So, yeah, I like the comparisons. People don't give Steph enough credit, Skip. Steph has a higher final scoring average than Kobe Bryant, Larry Bird, and D. Wade. Let that sink in, people, for just a second. A higher final scoring average. And we know what Kobe represents. We know what Larry represents. And little old Chef Steph, 6'3", okay, maybe 6'2.5". But Skip,
I think he's a full 6'3".
You'll give
he
him
looks 6'3" to me.
You give 6'3".
He looks little compared to the rest of them.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So for me, I like the comparisons. I don't really know if Tim had a great sense of humor. I guess because Steve Kerr had the great luxury of playing with Michael and playing with. He would know better than anybody else. And he's had the luxury of coaching Steph for like the last 5 or 6 years. So he has the luxury. He has a very unique perspective that very few people can have. I played with Steph. I coached Steph. I played with Tim, and I played with Mike. So I think he is the best to say, you know what? He's a combination of those two guys.
So I give you this. Steve Kerr has credibility and validity when he speaks of those two.
Yeah.
He saw them up close and personal. But I wish he wouldn't go there on either count because it's not right to me. And I don't think it's valid comparisons on either case because I was around Jordan a lot. I know a lot about Tim because I've been a Spurs fan. I've been pretty connected to people in and around the organization. So I have a pretty good sense of what he was and what he remains. And for me, let's start with Tim Duncan. He was as quiet a superstar, as unassuming a superstar as this league has ever seen. Because most people
the quietest
give him the designation, I guess it is, of the greatest power forward ever. I thought he was just a center.
Yeah.
Silly me. But that's okay. If you want to do that, I got it.
Yeah.
But if you know the Spurs dynasty, he was the driving force of it. He was the leader of the dynasty.
Yes.
On and off the court. And he just played basketball.
Yes.
There was no showboating. There was no hot dogging. There was none of this stuff, or there was no the mouth guard hanging out.
He skipped Bayless chicken breast. He's good, but he plain.
but he was very, very good.
Yes.
And when it was time to speak up in the locker room, off the court, he spoke.
Yes.
And when he spoke, they listened to him. And when that team needed to be righted under fire on the court, he was the one who took the basketball and made the play to win the game. He won a whole bunch of championships, and if it weren't for Ray Allen, he would have won. He would have been undefeated in the NBA Finals.
Right.
He'd be right up there in that sort of Jordan category.
He'd be 6-0.
Yeah, he would be 6-0. Got it. So it's hard for me. I get it. Steph off the floor is very humble. In all his interviews, he's very humble and extremely likable.
Right.
And I think people really want to like Steph Curry. There are times on the floor when his showboating and his hot dogging, I don't like. It just, after a while, it alienates me as a fan of his because it's just too much.
Hit him with that shoulder still when he hit that three. Hit him with that shoulder. Yeah, hit him with that shoulder.
I got it. And it's part and parcel of who he is, and he backs it up. So I don't take that away. But don't compare him to the big fundamental because Tim never showboated.
No, and but here's the thing, what you got to concede, though, Skip. Tony Parker comes, wins Finals MVP. Tim said, okay, you need to do that? Okay.
You didn't hear a peep about it.
KD comes. I get over,
okay,
try this thing.
I got it.
And so I think a lot of that's what Steve is talking about because Steve saw firsthand, this is Steph, the unquestioned leader, the undeniable franchise player that he's willing to concede, says, okay, KD, do this. Tim Duncan is the undeniable. Oh, Tony Parker, you need to do that, Tony. Manu, okay, do you, Rob, good.
Kawhi,
thank you. So, Skip, not only did he get passed up twice, once he got passed up twice.
He did.
And he said, you know what, I'm cool with that. I ride shotgun. Not only was he not in the passenger seat, he got in the back seat. So he was playing second to Tony Parker and Kawhi.
Okay. Now to Jordan. To me, comparing anybody to Jordan is just wrong, and it's unfair to whomever you're comparing to.
Right.
It's not fair to Steph, but he's trying to make the point of we take him for granted because he's so great every night.
Right.
Well, okay, timeout. He's not great every night. He's had, and I don't have enough show to go through it, but he's had a dozen games this year where he just was completely off.
Right.
Completely cold, because if you're going to do what he does, you're going to have a night where you just, you go frigid cold, right? You can't hit the rim, right? And if you go back, just go back and look at his game log and find the dozen games. There are a bunch of 1 for 10s. There are a whole bunch of 2 for 9s. There's some 1 for 13s. And then even back, it was just April 21st, he had a 2 for 14 that broke him out of his, when he was just on fire and he went cold. You're going to go cold. Yeah. He's going to remind you fairly regularly, this is hard, man.
Oh, yeah.
What I'm doing, I'm taking shots with extremely high degree of difficulty.
Skip, they put a stat up on the screen last night. The average distance of his shots made is almost 19 feet. Zion is 4.7 feet. So let that sink in for a second, Skip. This dude is almost shooting 3-pointers every shot he takes.
I got it, but I don't need the Jordan comparison to remind me just how great he is. I get it. I see it, but people tend to overreact to how great he is.
Well, I think that's, Skip, we do that all the time with greatness. Because they make it look so easy when it's not easy. Having played the NFL and have been around and to watch Jerry and to watch Barry and to play with John Elway, a lot of these great players, the Ray Lewises, they made it look easy, like, oh, man. But when you get down to it, it was hard. It's hard to get 20 tackles with 2 sacks and a pick. You're like, hold on. Everybody can't do that. And what Steve Kerr is saying, the way these two guys played.
No mercy. Well, Thursday, pro football is back with the Spring League on FS1. The season kicks off with a big doubleheader as the Alphas take on the Aviators at 7 Eastern. Then the Conquerors battle the Linemen at 10 Eastern. It all begins Thursday night on FS1 and the Fox Sports app. Kamaru Usman successfully defended his UFC welterweight title against Jorge Masvidal 10 days ago with a second-round knockout. Well, speculation has already begun with who Usman is expected to fight next. And joining us now, Kamaru Usman himself. Welcome. Thank you so much for joining us today. I'm going to get straight to the important question. Who do you want to fight next? Kamaru, you got me okay?
You got... yes, I got you.
All right. Well, we just chatted a little bit. Of course, thank you for joining us. We talked a little bit about your big win, your big knockout. But the question is, I'm jumping right to it. Who do you want to fight next?
It's a good question. It's one of those situations to where I've kind of been through each and every guy. And at the top right now, it's you got to find that guy. As scary as it is, as just anxiety-filled as that is, but that's what keeps us alive. It's that next guy that's going to make you go, oh, I feel something. I got to get up. I got to train. I got to really get motivated and go out there and face my fears again and go out there and defeat them. And right now, I really don't truly see any one of those guys. I think I've kind of come through the division and I've kind of ripped through these guys one by one. And right now, it's just a matter of me getting motivated again to do it all over again.
So, Kamaru, speaking of motivation, you said right after the Masvidal fight that you thanked him for really scaring you into being fully motivated for that fight. So, going in, did you have any thought anywhere in the very back of your mind, I'm going to knock out a guy who's never been knocked out before?
Absolutely. I think it's one of those after the first fight, obviously just I wasn't satisfied. And you guys played a role in that. I know you guys might not think we see this, but we see this. I see this. I seen you guys debate this. I see you guys had him on the show when he was talking, jiving and doing all this, talking about he was going to do this and baptize me and do all of that. And you guys went right along with it. Yeah, okay.
Not me.
You can do that. You can do that. You can do that. And he went out there and the results didn't materialize. And I feel like people kind of was a little let down because people really wanted a definitive closure to that chapter. And I didn't feel that myself. I didn't feel like I really put that stamp on it. And so that's why I said it. I wanted it again. I wanted to right that wrong. I don't want to leave a fight feeling like I didn't get in the fight. I trained to be in a fight, to get out there and feel that violence. I trained for that, and I didn't feel it through the first one, which is why we had to do it all over again. And I think this time I put that stamp on it. I let him know that you said you wanted violence, and I gave you some violence.
So you weren't at all surprised that your right hand got completely through, landed flush on his jaw, and knocked the man cold.
Yeah, I think I've been training it. I know I'm starting to get better, and that's what I say to these guys. I'm really starting to find my stride and start to grow as a mixed martial artist, grow within my skills, but just grow mentally. Because by the time you step in there, a large part of it is not necessarily, physically what you train. It's mentally how you train, because I don't just play the skills. I play the man. And at this point, I'm still growing, and I'm starting to hit that stride. And my right hand, if it touch you, it'll definitely turn the lights out.
Kamaru, you look at it, but the thing is about knocking someone out, you have to open yourself up. You have to become vulnerable. And with your skills as a wrestler, you feel you can take anyone down and then, stall them out in that aspect. So in order for you to land that punch, you had to open yourself up. But I watched something that you did. He said he thought you was going to shoot a takedown, and he underestimated you. But you knocked his right hand down with your left glove, because where you expected him to throw something back, because when you throw a punch, you leave yourself open to receive a punch.
Absolutely. He's very crafty. He's a very skilled guy, which is why no one has ever been able to do that to him like that. He's very well versed and skilled. And in the first round, he kind of showed me that. His reflexes are very, very quick. He's kind of like a boxer. He likes to roll and roll punches off his chin. Mm-hmm. And I saw that. And we trained for that with my coach, Trevor Whitman. That's one of the things that we worked on is going through him. Everything that I wanted to throw is technically sound, but I want to get through him. I want to let him know that I'm just, every punch is with bad intentions. And in that one, I kind of set him up. We started flowing. After that first round, I let that rush go, and I said, all right, it's time to get gritty. It's time to get down to it. And I was ready to bang at that point. And so whatever he was going to throw at me, I was going to take it. And I'm coming with heavy shots and basically letting him know right now that you need to respect what I do on my feet, as well as the takedowns as well. And I showed him a lot of takedowns in that first round. I kept showing it to him and showing it to him. And so it programs in the mind, and you think that's what I'm going to do. And then I come over the top with the right hand, and that's good night.
So you decided that you were going to sit down on all your punches. Like, you're going to feel every punch that I throw. It's not the tap, the kick, he's tapping me, but he's really going to try and take me down. You're like, I'm sitting down on these punches. I'm trying to get you out of here, bro.
Absolutely. I needed to get him out of there. I didn't feel like people would have been satisfied if I just went out there and put a 5-round beating on him. The people would not be satisfied with that. People want someone's head. They either want my head, which the majority of them did. They wanted my head, or it had to be his head. And that one, I had to go out there and definitely knock his head off in order for the people to walk away from that feeling satisfied.
So back to future opponents. Is Conor McGregor even a possibility for you? And if it did materialize, what would happen?
Get him, Kamaru. Get him.
I say this with all humbleness. It's not a possibility. And that's not on my part. I've showed, I've let people know that I'm ready for anybody, anytime, anywhere. And Conor, that's not a possibility, because I've offered him the fight before. And the first time, my fight with Masvidal was over the whole last year. They were trying to put that fight together, and it wasn't coming to fruition. It just wasn't materializing. And Conor ran his mouth a little bit, said that 170 belt is looking good to him. And I say, here you go. Come get it. I'm giving you the shot. Masvidal don't want to fight. It's your shot. You can go on my Twitter and look at my Twitter timeline. It was one, I tweeted him and I said, you have the shot. Conor, if you want it, come get it. He was radio silence.
So,
a couple of days he went radio silence. He went a couple of days. I didn't see him tweet. I didn't hear nothing from him.
So are you saying Conor McGregor is afraid of you?
At the end of the day, I'm not going to use that word afraid. But I think Conor is a very smart man and a resourceful man, and he knows his ability. And he knows if I'm going to walk into a cage with a lion, that lion about to do something to me. So you know what? I'm going to stand outside the cage, and I'm going to make fun, and I'm going to talk to the lion.
He just want to rattle the cage. He don't want to get in the cage, huh? He want to rattle the cage.
He want to rattle the cage. He want to stand on the outside and shake the cage and back up, shake the cage and back up. He don't want to get inside and close the cage door and see what's going to happen. He don't want to do that.
Kamaru, there's a lot said about pound for pound. Khabib, that might be an interesting fight. Would that be a fight you would take? But the pound for pound, where do you think you stand? John Jones hadn't fought in over a year. Khabib hadn't fought in a long period of time. I think it's a two-man race, two-man-woman race between you and Amanda Nunes. Where do you think you should be ranked on that pound-for-pound list?
I think so, too. I think Amanda Nunes is a phenomenal champion, and she's shown, I mean, 2-division champion, doing her thing back and forth, defending those belts. She's probably, right now, I would say, the greatest female fighter we've ever seen.
Yes, I would agree.
As far as myself, I think right now, pound for pound, I am the best in the world. Minus the absence of Khabib, I am the best in the world. John hadn't fought in a long time, which big respect to John. John, overall, career-wise, what John has done, phenomenal. You can't dispute that. But right now, pound for pound in the world, I can get it done everywhere, every aspect of the sport. I can get it done. And in my whole career, I could count on one hand how many rounds you could say, that was close. He might have lost that one. I could count on one hand. So I don't believe anybody dominates like myself. And that's why I said it. I mean, I'm so far ahead of these guys. These guys got to show me something now. They got to show me something. They got to let me know, hey, you can fight me. I'm ready now to challenge you. I'm ready to step in there and challenge you. So these guys need to show me something.
So one last question. You did grow up in Dallas, Texas. Are the Cowboys going to next year's Super Bowl?
Well, Skip, why you going to do that to me?
I got to know.
Skip, you can't do that to me. You putting me in a situation right now. You can't do that to me. I love the Cowboys. Oh, man, the Cowboys, I grew up watching them. The things that Jerry Jones has done with that team, good or bad, they've definitely made the Cowboys a household name. So, you know, my heart and love will always be with the Cowboys.
Yeah.
But
I think that's a big no.
No, exactly.
That's a whoa, Skip. I didn't say that, Skip. Don't put that on me now. Don't put that on me, Skip.
We need that Conor McGregor fight.
Yep.
I need you to beat the brakes off it.
Oh, Kamaru. That was it. You ask him about the Cowboys, Skip, and he's done. That's just how it works. Oh, he's back. Kamaru, we so appreciate your time. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
Thank you for chatting. And obviously, we are looking forward to learning what you decide to do next. And best of luck.
No mercy.
The Knicks got a 118-104 win against the Grizzlies last night, and that means the Knicks clinched their first winning season since 2013. New York has also now climbed all the way up to the 4th spot in the East after winning 12 of their last 13. And now the one and only Knicks superfan, Michael Rapaport, is joining us now. Mike, I guess I've known you for the last, 3 years on this show. You've been waiting for this moment.
Yeah.
Are the Knicks for real?
The Knicks are definitely for real. And I've come on this show and I've articulated my pain, my agony. I left. It's been rough. We've had Jeff Hornacek as a coach. We had Kurt Rambis somehow, some way as a coach. We had Derek Fisher as a coach. We have a bluesman, a blues guitar player as an owner, who humiliated one of the most beloved figures in New York sports, Charles Oakley. We've dealt with all of that. I've dealt with all of that. My father, the fans of New York have dealt with all that. But the pandemic, people were saying that New York was dead for the last 20 years. They were saying that the New York Knicks were gone. They were done. It wasn't a cool place to play anymore. It's shocking to me. It's shocking to everybody, but the Knicks are for real. They're in the fourth seed in the Eastern Conference. They won 12 out of 13 games. I'll say it again, 12 out of 13 games. They're not scared to play anybody. They're not impressed with anybody. They believe in each other. Okay, they're not on Instagram. They're not worrying about playing tournaments because they secured their playoff spot. Okay, they're not complaining about playoff games. They're a workman-like team with Julius Randle, who is not a flashy player. He is in full bloom. He is in full bloom. He's not a human highlight film. He's not a crossover guy. He's not a dunker. He's the leader. And this team resonates the same way the great teams of the 70s, the championship team, resonated with New York, and the same way the 90s Knicks resonated, because they play with their head down. They're not complaining. They're not flashy. They're underappreciated, and they're underdogs. This is almost like the Rocky Balboa of the NBA. And in my opinion, this Knick team winning 12 out of 13 is the greatest story in sports we have going right now. And nobody, Joel Embiid, okay, the Nets, the Atlanta Hawks, whoever sneaks into the 8th seed, nobody wants to face the New York Knicks in a playoff tournament, in a 7-game series, because they play hard every single night. There's no big three. They call themselves the Big 15, and it's great to see. And I'll say it again. I'm shocked. I am shocked that they won the last 12 out of 13. I am shocked that they've been so consistent, so gritty this year. Their starting lineup, for the most part, is Elfrid Payton, R.J. Barrett, Nerlens Noel, Reggie Bullock, and Julius Randle. This is like the island of broken toys, okay? No one would have expected the team 12 of the last 13 games, but they've done it, and they've done it in a great New York way. And like I said, when people were saying New York is dead, New York is back, and Knicks basketball is back, and we deserve it. New York Knicks fans deserve it, and they are making the Garden cool. When those stars said, we're not coming to New York, it's not a cool place, well, now it's a cool place, and it's setting the temperature going forward. And thank God we deserve it. Knicks fans deserve it.
First of all, I need you to slow down a bit, okay? You speeding. Right now, you're going like 85 and a 35, which will get you a major citation. They're actually going to take you to jail for that. Second of all, yeah, could you win a first round series if you get Atlanta, which is the 5 seed currently? Yes, you can beat them, but that's where the buck stops. You're not beating Milwaukee. You're not beating Philly. You're not beating the Brooklyn Nets. And you talk about, oh, we don't celebrate anything. First of all, when you haven't eaten in a long time, you don't complain about the meal that you get. You're just happy that you got a meal. Just be happy you're in the playoffs. You over there talking about, oh, we gonna win a ring. You're not winning anything, Michael Rapaport, okay?
Excuse me, sir. I didn't say anything about rings. Yesterday, you were in tears almost. I almost saw you shed a tear about a play-in tournament.
That's beneath us.
About a play-in tournament, man. We ain't worried about a play-in tournament. We're on the road right now. We made the Rockets look like the G League team they are. John Morant got ejected from the game because they play tenacious defense. They play gritty defense. They play as a team with a bunch of guys, aside from Julius Randle. I mean, John Morant got thrown out of the game last night. Taj Gibson was out of the league. He was out of the league. Nerlens Noel has been on every single team in this. He started the trust the process thing. We never thought we would have done it. Thibodeau was like a mad scientist. And I'll say it for a third time. If you guys ever thought in my wildest dreams that in May of 2021, I thought I would come on here to gloat and to be happy about the New York.
Exactly.
I never thought it. And this is a team with soul. This is a team with heart. This is a team with grit. And it's a team that represents the 5 boroughs, unlike that soulless big 3 out there in Brooklyn who can't even figure out what lineup they're going to start every single night. You think they want to come to the Garden and play against the New York Knicks? I'm telling you, this is like a baby 90s New York Knicks team. They're a freight train, and it's the greatest story in sports right now. And I don't know why you're talking about a team that may not get into the playoffs every single day, Shannon. You need to focus your energy, diversify your thoughts, because your guys might not even make it into the playoffs, let alone that play-in tournament.
Let's give speak. He tired of talking about that freight train. Y'all a caboose. Y'all ain't no train. You're a caboose.
Shannon, you do not want me to speak because I will publicly admit I am with Michael Rapaport.
Of course you are.
Of
course you are.
The New York Knicks are finally legit. They have a real head coach who coaches and teaches defense at the highest level. They are ranked 4th in defensive efficiency, and they're starting to threaten Utah for 3rd in defensive efficiency. How your Lakers are still first, I don't know.
Who first?
I don't know how.
Us.
Yeah, okay, fine. But you've got a Julius Randle. Listen, I thought you undersold him, Michael. He's 24, 10, and 6. Those are all career highs. I think he's a legit star in this league. He's shooting
100%.
43% from 3. Julius Randle, are you kidding? R.J. Barrett is a nice complimentary star. And then who is this guy, Derrick Rose, coming off your bench every night and scoring 17, 18, 20 points? He's only 32. I thought he'd been in the league like 17 years. It feels like he's older than LeBron is, but he is playing young. So it's legit. You will beat Atlanta in the first round, and I wouldn't doubt it if you took Philly to maybe 7 games in round 2 of the playoffs.
I got ice tray. If they play the Hawks, I got ice tray.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I'll take some of that.
You can take your whatever you want on the tray. You're gonna need a medical tray. Listen, I like Ice Tray. He's underrated. I don't know why he's not on those top under 25 lists. The Atlanta Hawks ain't beating the New York Knicks in the Garden.
No.
One of the biggest tragedies today, they haven't been able to pack it up for the greatest fans in the world, in the greatest, most famous sports arena, in the Garden, and the Garden will be eaten. Trust me, in the playoffs, the Garden will be eaten once again. And we ain't worried about the second round. Shannon, see, this is why you're jumping into finals. You're jumping into Western Conference Finals. That's why you're worried about a play-in tournament. We put our head down. We treat every game like it's an important game. We ain't resting players. Julius Randle plays the most minutes in the NBA. And let's talk about Julius Randle. He's beyond the most improved player in the league. I don't think that award is worthy of him. He's definitely an NBA of second teamer, if not maybe a first teamer. If you really want to get down to the nuts and bolts, he should absolutely be in the MVP conversation. It's a beautiful thing for New York City. And like I said, New York deserves it. And this is a team that represents New York. Okay, this is a team that represents everything that is great about New York. Hard-nosed, tough, workmanlike, with a little flash, just like those 70 Knicks with Earl the Pearl and Walt Clyde Frazier in the backcourt. This is a great story. This is a great, tough, hard-nosed team. And if you think Joel Embiid wants to come to New York for a 7-game series, you're crazy.
Okay. So one last question, and I'm serious about this. Are you sure you want your Knicks to win big? Because you're going to lose your sympathy card. You won't be able to cry about your Knicks anymore.
Listen, if I didn't want them to win big, they're going to win big. They don't listen. They're not listening to me. They're not listening to you guys respectfully. They're not listening to Jenny, the MVP. They're not listening to any of the noise. They're listening to their coach. They're listening to each other. They love playing with each other. They love playing in New York. And it's great. We are New York, and we love basketball. And if you're going to come in here, you better be 10 feet tall.
Oh, Mike, you have stayed loyal to those Knicks over the last couple of years. You could not have come any closer to the screen there. You got your points well received. We appreciate your time. Always great to have you, and we will check in very soon. No mercy. No players from historically black colleges or universities were selected in the NFL draft, and Deion Sanders took notice, posting on Instagram, saying this: "We have the audacity to hate on one another while our kids are being neglected and rejected. I witnessed a multitude of kids that we played against that were more than qualified to be drafted. My prayers are that this won't ever happen again. Get your knife out my back and fight with me, not against me." So, Shannon, what is your reaction to what Deion said here?
It's tough because I'm a graduate of an HBCU, and I understand how hard it is, Skip. 60s and 70s, there are a lot, 80s, even into the 90s, there are a lot of, black kids that were at HBCUs that got drafted. But it's just like in basketball, Skip. The reason why kids go to Duke, North Carolina, and Kentucky is because they see other kids go to those universities and go to the NBA. So they see these kids. They see Alabama had 6 guys go in the first round. They see they have 8 guys in the first 2 rounds. And so now 4- and 5-star recruits want to go to these big universities, and they're not going like they used to. And I remember having a conversation with Mia, Niels Williams, and Stray were talking. I don't know, Michael Strahan. Skip, I don't know when the next HBCU guy that's going to go to the NFL and become a Hall of Famer, because those guys are not going to those universities anymore. They're going to the Ohio States. They're going to the big programs. And it's tough. Hopefully, with Deion being there, Eddie George is not head coach. They're trying to get Marshall Faulk to go back to Southern. So hopefully they can bring some of these guys that are qualified to go to big universities, get these guys to go to HBCUs and get them to the NFL.
This will change because of those three men, I believe. And you remember, once upon a time, the HBCUs were pro-pipeline.
Yes.
The NFL loved to mine the HBCUs.
Yes.
And now it's been 9 times since 2000. Nothing. And there was one in 2020. They did play a spring schedule. I don't know if that messed everything up, you know, obviously. And there was COVID issue. There are all kinds of issues. But listen, I trust Deion's eye for talent. If he saw kids that he's playing against who deserve to be drafted, well, at least they better be undrafted free agents.
Right, because the last guy, I mean, with Darius Leonard, now, he was drafted from South Carolina State. He's an all-pro. So the talent level is there, Skip. We just got to get you know, some more funding to get these programs up and running. And I believe Deion is the right guy for the job. I'm glad he spoke out.
The best guy for the job.
Boy, some strong words for him. That is it for Undisputed.
No mercy.